I have an option review Friday the 13th from 1980, directed by Cunningham, and of course the very first film in the franchise. So yes, we are back once again, ready to discuss another horror film on the channel for the Halloween season, and this time around, this marks, the beginning of, me going through all of the films, really, if I can, for this franchise on the channel, reviewing them, and at the end we'll be doing a ranking from least favourite to favourite, and that will be really fun to do. But for now, I will be talking about these films, and most of the films at least, reviewing them individually, and I think, the ranking will not come this month, I will say that now, because there's so many of them, and I've got, other films and stuff I'm doing, rankings and stuff on the channel, but I will be reviewing at least the first few in the franchise this month for the Halloween season, and I can't say when the other ones will be, and the ranking, but it will be within the next few months, hopefully, and something I just wanted to do. I had the urge to watch these films again, and so there will be a spoiler warning for this discussion. If you haven't seen this film, I simply recommend seeing it first, and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk about this from the comments, and all things Friday the 13th. And so yes, with that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film, and this is a very nostalgic one for me, and over the years, I've kind of gone, up and down on this one, just some of the films in the franchise in particular, and as well, just kind of rearranging my ranking, and it's quite tricky, but now I think I've kind of got my thoughts a bit more on some of these films, and especially this film. This is a one that I do have a lot of nostalgia for. I saw this when I was around 11, 12 for the first time, and just came in from school, and I'd been hearing about this film obviously, and had seen all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films before this film, and I saw Freddy vs Jason as well from when I was 10 years old. So, I had seen, all those films, and I had never seen a Friday the 13th film, and it was really quite interesting that, because, I saw Freddy vs. Jason before any of the films in the franchise, and I saw this film, and, I did enjoy this one, and, I always kind of have fond memories of first seeing this one, and just this peaceful nature of this, I think is one of the best things about it, and, I think just the locations, obviously, Camp Crystal Lake itself, in this film, the way it's set up, it's just so well done, and I just love this kind of idyllic, if you will, location. This is not a franchise for me that is particularly scary, but it's not really about that. It has a couple of tense moments, and I think in this film the scariest aspect is Betsy Palmer, and her being the mother of Jason, and for the end, and just her acting is so good there, that I do think is very scary there, and also funny at the same time. But generally this film and most of the franchise, are not scary films. They are just ones that I go to for this kind of nostalgic, warm feeling. They're very simple in the way they're done. The pure cinema of these, the kind of the visuals, and the score that really, is the thing that they're focusing on here. And I think the characters in this, franchise, a lot of them are not, necessarily the best. They're not really, a lot of the time developed at all. In this film, we have a lot of characters, kind of young characters who are at this camp, and renovating this, of course, getting it prepped, and they've got these tasks, of course, and but they're really just hanging out, and just messing about, and they get picked off one by one, and it's really Alice, played by Adrienne, who is the main character here, and she has a bit of character development, but again, she's not the best character, and I think it's more about Jason, the backstory, and of course Betsy Palmer, we have the reveal of her being the killer of this film, of course, the mother of Jason, Mrs. Voorhees, in this film, and, just, I think, when I first saw this film, I was thinking, it's really interesting, the backstory to this. We get some flashbacks, kind of here and there. We do have the prologue as well, at the beginning of the film, and, set in the 50s, of course. We learn that, Jason was drowned in 57, and, of course, 58 is when, we have these, just these people hanging out at the camp, and singing all these songs, and just doing different things there, and they get killed as well, and that is the final, kind of moment of the prologue. We have the kind of freeze frame of that character there, screaming, and for me, that is not the best, of introductions to a horror film, but it is really funny, and quite entertaining. And in general, this film, I've said the characters are not well developed, really, most of them. And it's not really about that, but the acting and the script at times, it is pretty, it's pretty bad, with all respect. It's just, some of the moments in this, quite, just, I kind of laugh at, this film, because it clearly wasn't going for, this kind of type of film, and it was more just, about seeing the characters getting picked off, and, just some of the script though in this film, it is pretty bad, with all respect. But I think, seeing the characters getting picked off, just as a pure slasher film, this is really unique. This film, really from my point of view, this is not obviously the first slasher film. Halloween isn't even the first, slasher film in '78. For me, of the ones I've seen at least, the first pure slasher that really, set the kind of template, and a lot of the films afterwards were influenced by, and clearly, the actual formula of that film really went on to influence loads of films, was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I think that is, and not Psycho for me, because Psycho from 1960 is not, really a slasher. It has a couple of elements here and there, but it's, it's a Hitchcock, and it's not saying that it's above the slasher genre, but to me personally, it's not really a slasher, really, and it's a thriller, horror film, and it has, slasher elements, and obviously it did influence a lot of slasher films, but the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the one that was the first, from the ones I've seen at least, pure slasher film, and it kind of, this time when Friday the 13th came out, Halloween and this film really were the two that kind of more brought, the slasher genre, the pure slasher genre, to the mainstream. Obviously, Texas Chainsaw did come out in '74, but there wasn't really too many films other than that that kind of were slasher films like that, and coming out. And it was really until the late '70s, early '80s, obviously, with these two films, Halloween and Friday the 13th, that kind of launched, these franchises more, and bring it into the mainstream, obviously. And I just think it is very interesting because after this film, Friday the 13th. There was, slashers coming out left, right, and centre, and obviously all the sequels to this film. So many in the '80s alone, and the '80s was really, the kind of pinnacle of mainstream slashers. Kind of franchises being born, and sequels coming out all the time to horror films. So it's really interesting. But this film, I think was really unique, and it's very different to Halloween. It's more of a slasher than, at least in my opinion, Halloween, although both are definitely slashers that influence the genre, and it's a very interesting time, and I think there is something about the '80s slashers in particular that's just really, for me, charming and soothing to watch. I just get very comforted by these films, even though some of the sequels, I'm not, big on, and there's a couple, here and there that, kind of not even, kind of that enjoyable. There's always something to take from them, and just that feeling, particularly the '80s ones that are just very comforting, and you can just kind of sit back and enjoy these films. They're very pleasant to watch, and just easygoing. You know what to expect most of the time, and that for me, is to praise in cinema. I like linearity, at times, and I do like predictable films, and ones that you're not necessarily kind of really complex at times, and just ones to simply watch and enjoy, and have a nice time with, and to just kind of sit back and relax with. And this is one of those films. That's one of the best things about this film, and also just the memories I have for this one, seeing for the first time and being kind of shocked, at some of the acting and stuff, but not really caring about that, and it's just more about the locations. It's the Camp Crystal Lake, the way this is shot, and the locations to this. It just makes me want to be there. In the summer, and these films, some of them, much more summery films than Halloween films, but they're also great to watch at this time, and being this horror franchise, and I think just the kind of first time I watched this though was in the summer, and just seeing these bright locations, and in the woods, and really escapist kind of feel, and some of the characters quite interesting at times, and we do have a very young Kevin Bacon in this film, and he's playing Jack, and it's quite funny, and just charming interactions. Some of it's a bit cheesy, just some of the teen stuff going on there, and some of the interactions, a bit cheesy, a bit cringy, but for the most part, it's just nice to watch, and we see these characters, the revenge being enacted on them, of course, as we know. In the end, it is the mother of Jason, Mrs. Voorhees, that's doing all this. And first time I saw this, it's definitely something that I was quite surprised by, in a sense, and I think just seeing the kind of reveal of her, I kind of knew, I'd heard some things about this before, seeing this, but I didn't quite put it all together, and hadn't seen obviously exactly how it happened and how it was revealed, but in the final act, I think it's definitely quite a classic reveal, and I think Betsy Palmer in this film is definitely the best, gives the best performance, and is the best character in this film. She's the one that is really given more of the backstory, more of the weight, and more motivations, obviously, and most of the other characters are kind of throwaway, if you will, and I like though, one of the policemen is coming in at first, and investigating the camp, and interacting, with the group, and also, the kind of one in charge, of this group, and he goes off at one point, and he does come back, never really makes it to the camp again. He's kind of picked off, in the woods, and it's really just I think a soothing film. The way this film progresses is very easygoing. I think one of the main flaws of this, it was definitely enjoyable until the first, until the 45-minute mark. But one of the main flaws is from around the 45-minute mark to the maybe 75-minute mark, for the most part. A lot of the characters, have been picked off at that point, and we just got, Alice, kind of walking through the woods, and she's just kind of going through and stumbling around, investigating the rooms, and just kind of there's a lot of just kind of walking around. Nothing really happened in this film, and I think not even any kills at this point, really, and just kind of I think it's kind of just. It seems like it's trying to extend the film, the runtime, and there's not really any material here to kind of really stretch the film, and it's just kind of plodding and just walking around. It's a bit boring at that point, in the film. Wasn't really a fan of that, kind of segment, but the first act and the final act for me, I do really enjoy at times, and I think this is just a solid film overall, because some of the flaws throughout, and also that as I say, that middle segment, some of it is just quite boring and quite flat for me, and there's not really anything happening at all here, and I think just because of that, just let the film down, and I think it does kind of come together though nicely in the final act. We've got some classic moments in horror, really, especially for slasher films, with of course the reveal and the ending itself. I really liked Alice, of course, on the boat, and we see Jason, coming out of the kind of lake there, and dragging her in, and then she wakes up, of course, and then she recounts what's happened to the police again, and the hospital, and then we have once again showing shot of the lake. I just really like the score here, especially in that final moment, and leading into the credits. This is just quite stunning, and I think Harry Manfredini, doing the score here, I think throughout it's really iconic, of course. Got some really cool moments, quite unique, and but especially the ending kind of scene, and leading into the credits. This is just so good, and I just love this score here, and it's just a really beautiful piece of music here, and really, really nice. Yeah, it's quite a spiritual moment actually, and by the end of the film, definitely gone through a journey. Even though, as I say, a lot of the characters are not that great and not very investing. It's definitely a film that is, it's very unique, and it's definitely a film that set up this franchise very well, and the backstory, and obviously what happened before, and the kind of the world building is the main thing that really elevates this film, and obviously the way it's shot and the cinematics to this. Obviously, a lot of the moments in the middle, as I've said, are quite flat, including just the way this is put together, and that could have been trimmed quite a bit, to really elevate the film. But I think that the first act and the final act, I do really enjoy, and I think as a slasher film, this is definitely an enjoyable one, and one that I do appreciate, and I think the memories I have attached to this, and just to watch this film, whatever the mood you're in, it's a one that you can just easily take it in, and sit back, and very rewatchable film in a sense that just putting it on at any point, really, and it's great for the summer, and it's great for Halloween as well, and it's really cool. I love Camp Crystal Lake, obviously, and just the way this is set up, and as well, I think just the way that the characters kind of make it to the the actual main site, and the lake, obviously, and some of the characters that are just journeying there, like Annie, of course, kind of backpacker, of course, hitchhiking and going to the camp, and she never makes it, obviously. That's really funny, and I think that was quite a peaceful character, and just the way that she kind of gets that lift, and then she gets out, and obviously Betsy Palmer or Mrs. Voorhees does dispatch her as well, before she makes it to camp, and it's just really, really funny, and some wacky moments in this film, definitely, and just moments in the script that had me scratching my head. But it's a film that, aside from those flaws, the script, the acting at times, and just some of the characters, of course, and the way the middle is very flawed. I think this is an enjoyable film. It's very charming, very just nice to watch, very pleasant, and for the most part, and just with at times a great villain in this film, and obviously the backstory is really quite special to this, and even though the main bulk of the film with the characters and stuff are not the best, it's more about the exposition, the kind of world building, the subtle moments, the score, obviously, the way it's shot, really is quite something at times, and just the editing, it kind of has this kind of, it puts in a trance-like effect at times, particularly early on, and also that ending sequence, and it's just really well shot overall, and the actual kills themselves are really well done. Tom Savini obviously done the practical effects to this, the makeup and all this, and legendary Tom Savini, and I think some of the kills, could have been a bit better, but when it's really, showing the gore, this is very effective and just really cool to see this. Obviously, Kevin Bacon's death, especially with Jack, that is really something where, kind of going through the throat there, and just really brutal film, this, and I think the final act as well, in terms of that, the kind of Betsy Palm when she comes into it, I think that, kind of rough and tumble that she has with Alice, in that final act is really, really well done and really tense, but it's very funny as well, and the noises that Betsy Palmer makes in this, when she's kind of struggling with Alice and kind of grabbing her and stuff and trying to dispatch her, this is so funny, and it is really well done, and the moment when, of course, Alice takes the machete and chops her head off, that is quite a cool moment, and just that death itself was really well done, and just the reactions from Betsy Palmer in this is just priceless, and really, I think definitely, the standout, as I say, Betsy Palmer, and just the backstory and the way this is set up, the universe to this franchise, very simply done, but with some really intriguing moments that we don't kind of see all of the stuff in this film. The backstory, it's more kind of subtly done for the most part, and nice reveals. Just a couple of unique touches this film has, and kind of sets it apart from different slashers. And it's really cool to see. And obviously, I think one of those things is Walt Gorney playing Crazy Ralph, and he comes into the film very soon into it, and he's on the bike, and just warning everyone that kind of goes to the camp, and it's just a really funny character. Kind of disturbing a little bit, but not really. It's something that I can't really take seriously. It's more just a quirky, funny character who kind of, it's a nice kind of trope, warning the kind of people that are going to the camp, and just kind of them riding off quite bizarrely, and he does kind of show up as well at the camp, and again just riding off on his bike. So a really bizarre character there, and just one of the things that kind of is really memorable. And when I first saw this, I was laughing at that, and just every time I see it, I look forward to seeing his scenes. Really funny stuff there, and just definitely moments like this really unique, and quite just tongue-in-cheek, really, not meant to be taken too seriously, and that's the thing about this film. It isn't really meant to be taken truly seriously, and it's kind of got this blend of comedy and horror as well, throughout. So yes, overall this film, I do enjoy. As I say, it has a place in my heart, and it's definitely one that has given me a lot of great memories over the years, and other films in the franchise as well. Particularly the first 4 films, I did enjoy kind of watching when I was really young, and this film itself, it's not necessarily the best in the franchise, but it's definitely one of the best for me. And I think the way it's set up, this universe, and the characters not always being the best, but the villain of this film, and the reveal, and just the classic elements that is set up, and went on to kind of influence as well. It's all really cool to kind of go back to this film. Nothing too silly in the sense of Jason X and all those films. This is just more of a simple film that is, even though it's quite silly at times, it's more grounded, and it is just more simple, pure slasher film, and it's really just a cool film that is set up a lot of tropes, obviously, and also just hearing the backstory and then seeing the final act. That's the thing that really makes this film. And so overall, my rating for this film is a 63%. So a pretty high score from me. A solid film. I think it's definitely let down though by that kind of middle portion of the film where nothing really happens for me, and I think just it is a bit boring there, and a bit flat, and if it had been trimmed, or if that had been better, and had been as good as the first 40-45 minutes, and the final act, it would have been a higher score. But regardless of that, I think I definitely enjoy this film, and have a good time watching this one, and it was really cool to revisit this one, and just very charming film, brings me back to my childhood, and it's a well-made film at times, in terms of the visuals, the score, the kind of makeup, practical effects to this, and it's just nice to see a very grounded at times slasher film like this, and obviously so many sequels to talk about going forward for this franchise, but this is one that remains one of the best, and one of the most just I think admirable films really in the franchise. A very low budget film that done amazing at the box office. It's a one that obviously critically is not well received, and I can see why this film is not for everyone. It's not, as I say, it's not the best characters. That's one of the things why the score is not a little bit higher for me, even though I enjoy the film quite a bit. But some of the writing, the acting, and stuff like this is definitely flawed for me personally. But regardless of all that, it manages to be, an entertaining film and one that I do enjoy. Very charming, very just relaxing film. Very well shot at times, as I say. The score, is really, really good, especially the ending, which, I absolutely love, the score there. And just the way this kind of sets up the sequels to come as well, and also the prologue, not the best, but, interesting backstory all the way through the film, wanting to know more about Jason and this whole lore, and it's quite classic at times in that sense. So yes, that's my thoughts on Friday the 13th. A pretty solid film overall, with some real high points and definite flaws as well, that kind of hold the film back from being a high score. But as I say, regardless of the score that I give this, I do really enjoy this film. Its first act and final act as well. Betsy Palmer is legendary in this film. Just the way in which it's quite unexpected. When you first see it. Reveal this not being, Jason that we're hearing about, and it's actually the mother of Jason getting revenge, on these, on the people that go to the camp, and throughout the years, and the kind of legend of this. It's just really, really fun to kind of go through and to kind of experience this. Yeah, that's my thoughts. It'd be great to hear your thoughts on this film, and share your opinions on this. Your memories of seeing this film, and different films in the franchise we'll be talking about, going forward. And eventually, as I say, the ranking will come. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on all of these films, and to discuss this film today as well. It'd be really cool to discuss, and it'd be a pleasure to hear your experiences with this film. And as I say, very nostalgic to me. Really, enjoyable film at times, and I do like this one for sure. So it'd be cool to discuss this one in the comments and all things horror. So yes, for the month of Halloween, celebrating this season, and it's been great, and many more reviews and discussions to come. So yes, as always, take care and thanks for watching.